I'll always love comic book characters. You could take that to the bank. The thing is that sometimes they get written into stories that aren't worthy of them. Usually by people I have zero faith in. So when that happens, it's time for me to check out for a while. Even the quickest look at my channel's content makes it seem unlikely, but it has happened. There's really only ever been one fandom I never walked away from, not for a single day since I picked it up. One I never thought I'd ever cover on this channel. Sharing images of decades-old characters, ones that I've spent more than half my life carrying with me, is one thing. With my well-intentions, I can explain it away as a spotlight, a celebration. At very least, I can convince myself that the likes of Warner Brothers and Disney are getting free publicity, courtesy of the hard work and opinions I put into my videos. That way of thinking breaks down when it comes to music, even before the threat of copyright strikes. To be painfully honest with myself, out loud rather than purely in my own head, as I always am. By failing my own rock and roll dreams, I learned the undeniable truth. Music is procured from a soul with an undeniable talent. There seems to be a sort of divinity there, which is something I just don't seem to have. So I refuse to steal a single musical note from any solitary band for the sake of my channel, let alone from the one that has enriched and saved my life while sort of giving me this honest-to-goodness religious experience. It seems like everyone under the sun will cite this band or that band as an influence. The thing is, no Beatle has ever spoken to me. Pop music just doesn't. And I've picked up plenty of Stones, but they never made me feel like a man, or made me want to party, or whatever the hell it is that makes people like the Rolling Stones. However, there is this band. The only band that ever dared me to ask myself, the only question that ever really needs to be answered.
Who are you?
That band had John Entwistle on bass, Roger Daltrey as their lead vocalist, Keith Moon on drums, and Pete Townsend as their lead songwriter and guitarist. Collectively known as The Who. They made rock music a mirror to the audience, a conduit and a release for teenage angst. Becoming known for smashing their instruments on stage, they would set rock on a path to where it would become more of a spectacle. They broke from the musical conventions of their time, and they pushed the boundaries of the standard 2-minute 50 rock song. And because of that, rock became anthem. They did all of this and are probably the earliest influence on what would become punk rock. Without question, they left the art form better than they found it. Their fourth album, Tommy, is a prime example to anyone who needs one. Often referred to as a rock opera because of its unconventional use of characters and events in a rock album, Tommy tells the story of the Walker family, a family in bloom during World War I. Captain Walker goes off to war hoping for a safe return to his wife. However, that safe return does not seem to be in the cards, as Nora receives word that her husband is missing and declared dead. His unborn child will never know him. A few years pass, and suddenly, unannounced, Captain Walker returns home on New Year's Eve, 1921. He discovers that not only has Nora given birth to his son, she has a new lover, named Frank. Things get out of hand, and a fight between Captain Walker and Frank leads to Captain Walker's murder. Once the deed is done, Nora and Frank realize the whole thing happened in front of Tommy. Leaping into action, out of shame and fear of getting caught, Nora and Frank swear Tommy to secrecy. The double dose of trauma results in the child withdrawing inward, leaving Tommy deaf, dumb, and blind to the outside world. He begins to rely on his sense of touch and his imagination to navigate day-to-day life, which becomes increasingly harder as his parents go through bouts of negligence. They leave Tommy for hours, sometimes days on end, in the care of his older sadistic delinquent cousin Kevin, or his disgusting sexually abusive Uncle Ernie. Becoming increasingly frustrated with Tommy's condition, Nora and Frank try various different treatments and experiences to snap their son out of it. They try religion, they even try drugs, to little or no avail. As the years unfold, Tommy seems to only find true peace and refuge in his own reflection, until a fateful day where he discovers and masters pinball, which makes him somewhat of a medical marvel, from deaf, dumb, and blind boy to pinball wizard. In a seemingly last-ditch effort, Tommy's parents take him to see a specialist, at which point the diagnosis is quite clear. Tommy's issues are psychosomatic. He is the only cure for his condition.
Go to the mirror, boy. Go to the mirror, boy.
Nora takes the doctor's assessment to heart, as any good mother would. She decides to force her son's hand in pulling himself out of it by breaking the mirror. An act that sends shockwaves through Tommy's world of imagination and repressed feeling until it brings Tommy himself into focus.
Extra, extra, read all about it. The pinball wizard and the miracle cure. Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra.
Tommy, his mom, and even Frank are happy that Tommy is whole again. Word spreads of Tommy's recovery, and because of it, Tommy is hailed as something of a superstar, a messiah. People from all walks of life flock to him to learn how to be enlightened. Tommy knows the world is hurting, and there's an answer to all of it. So he begins to travel the world, promoting his message of love, light, and a carefree enlightenment. Nora is happy her son is whole again, but Frank just sees dollar signs. Tommy's holiday camp is formed and is such a hit that they have to build an extension. Everything's fine and well. Thousands of people go to the camp to learn how to be like Tommy. Here's the thing of it. Tommy Walker only became enlightened once he became just like everyone else. Life is beautiful. Just look around. That's his message. If there's a way to be like him, his enlightenment, that's it. That's the way. Well, the truth hurts, especially when you've spent a fortune believing that you're on your way to enlightenment. The patrons of Tommy's holiday camp violently revolt. During the riot, Frank and Nora are killed, right in front of Tommy. Surrounded by fire, in the presence of death and destruction, Tommy Walker is so far from enlightenment. It would be so easy just to withdraw again. But he doesn't, and that's how the story ends. I got a lot from that album, which was toured time and again all over the world by The Who. It was spun into a feature film and eventually a Broadway play. I see no reason why this fantastic piece of music with that incredible story should ever be forgotten, and thus the reason for this video, which has been carefully curated by the same thing that needs to hear The Who from time to time: my soul. I'd like to see the amazing journey of Tommy Walker get another go in the public spotlight, maybe a tour for charity, performed entirely by different musical artists, maybe another feature film. Everything's getting remade these days. A musical animated film would offer a spectacle for the senses. Either way, whatever form it could take, here's my absolute fan cast for the amazing journey of Tommy Walker.